Let's start with the Patriots. The Marcus and I talked a little bit about the quarterback spot and whether they draft or they go out. So for you, if you're the Patriots and you're looking at this NFL, the draft situation, which frankly has not been particularly great to them, and they've not been particularly great at in some cases, where do you think the Patriots go? Do you have a guy in mind for that first or second round spot?
Well, I think they would love to draft one of the top four, right, guys? You look at it and it's obvious. We love these guys. Even if it's not Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields or Zach Wilson, there's a Trey Lance there that even if you sit him for a year, if that's the plan, you have to go down. There's all the talent in the world. The problem for New England was that they weren't very good this year, but they weren't very, very bad. I mean, they were a 7-9 team, and that has them picking smack in the middle of the draft. And quite frankly, I don't see how any of those top four guys fall that far in this draft. So is New England ready to move up, make some kind of significant move up? I would be a little surprised. I mean, you got to realize we're looking at this order. We know Jacksonville, probably the Jets, maybe Atlanta, maybe Philly, Carolina. There are so many teams ahead of them, and even a team like the 49ers that are going to look at these quarterbacks. So if you're New England, it might just not be up to you. I think that's the issue here. You're not going to be, if the sweepstakes for Deshaun Watson ever comes, I don't see how they have more ammo than everyone else to make that kind of move. So do they go a veteran route? We know the Jets aren't going to be interested in trading them Sam Darnold. That would be a piece that makes sense to me. So there's a lot of variables with New England where they had to go on a bridge contract last year with Cam Newton, a veteran guy. They might be looking to do the same thing. Do we see a Teddy Bridgewater on the move if Carolina is very active in this quarterback market? That's somebody that makes sense. But if you're talking about a team that's kind of on the outside looking in of the quarterback situation, the quarterback run this year, unless they want to go Kyle Trask later in the draft or even Mac Jones at 15, it's hard to find the perfect situation for them.
Connor, I've got a question for you. What type of quarterback do you think New England's going to be after? Because I know a lot of people are looking for the next Tom Brady, a guy that wins in the pocket with accuracy and stuff. But it seems like Belichick is more open to these dual threat guys because they're a little bit harder to stop. He's had problems with, the Lamar Jacksons in the past. So do you think they're looking for a traditional pocket passer or one of the dual threat quarterbacks?
I think you're all over it, Marcus. I don't think they're looking for that traditional stand up, stand in the pocket, timing kind of passer. Of course, if you get a really good one, that's great. And we saw the offensive concepts they ran with Cam Newton last year, a very run heavy, obviously, team, even from the quarterback position. Now, was it a perfect season? No, but were they excited to give it a try? Absolutely. And what I had always heard with Belichick and even a guy like Josh McDaniels is after Brady and they'd already gotten rid of Jimmy G, they were intrigued by the direction the league was going in. And I know us three have this conversation on this show a lot. You look at the top quarterbacks in the league, those guys have giddy up, pretty much all of them. Even Aaron Rodgers, I know he's getting older now, but he's a guy that's been known for his mobility and downfield throwing. So that's why you look at, how far will a Trey Lance fall, right? Does he fall out of the top 10? New England says, hey, we can go up a couple of spots and get a guy like that. I think that's the perfect situation. But the problem is I think that's going to be tough. And then, like I said, the consolation prizes are Kyle Trask, Mac Jones, guys that just aren't very athletic and don't fit that mold. So you have to wonder, is New England in this spot where they can even get one of those guys? Do they do the New England thing and take a day 2, maybe day 3 flyer on a guy like Kellen Mond, who's definitely a developmental prospect instead? I think that's what everyone's wondering, but I think you're all over it. I don't think New England's sitting there and going pocket passer. I think they would like a guy with mobility, especially if anyone knows offensive and defensive trends and forward thinking in the NFL. Belichick is one of those guys.
I think you guys bring up an interesting point. If Mac Jones is to be the guy, with the relationship that Saban and Belichick have, that's going to be, I'd love to be involved in that conversation, right? I'd love to hear, because they've got such good rapport that they'll know pretty quickly if that's a route that they should go, if that is to be an option to them, right? And I'll tell you what he is not, Mac Jones, which is a mobile quarterback. If that's the route that they want to go, that ain't the dude.
No.
I mean, right, Connor? I mean,
yeah, you have to wonder, because of how poorly they've drafted wide receivers in the last, 8 years. I mean, they've missed on almost every single one. The last guy they really hit out of the park with was Julian Edelman, who was like a 7th round pick, former quarterback. They don't really have much there at wide receiver that if you're drafting Mac Jones, and this is why I often align him with the New Orleans Saints, you're putting him in a situation where the Saints have a top 3 offensive line in the NFL, number one wide receiver, a great, maybe the best pass catching back in the NFL. There's so many different weapons there in an offense that makes sense for him. Can he do all the timing concepts? And is he a guy that is very, very bright? Absolutely. But the offensive line, it's pretty good, but they might lose Joe Thuney in free agency. Let's not forget that. That's a big hit. They don't have anything at wide receiver. They just don't have a lot of juice at playmaker. So how would Mac Jones look in that offense without guys like that, especially the Alabama system he's coming out with? I mean, Alabama's offense is better than anything New England technically has at the skill spots right now.
Yes. It's really good. I mean, it's
better than a lot of teams.
It's
not a New England thing. Yeah. It's better than a lot of teams.